Hi, it's Carolyn here from Absolique Hair Health Clinic. I'm a trichologist, and what we're going to show you today is a scalp condition. So we have a problem with an itchy scalp. We say that we have a scalp scale, or we're seeing that there's particles, or what you would call dandruff, coming out through the hair, but the main concern is the extreme itch. So we just took a picture of the scalp with our microscope, so you can see that image there. And we can see that there's a lot of disturbances on the scalp, and we're going back in live. And we can also see that we've actually had a hair colour just recently, and the colour has actually, it's actually stuck to the skin, and the skin that sits on the scalp is actually dead skin. So we can see the scalp there is quite discoloured. It's also quite pinched, meaning it's dehydrated. And you may also see with me there's some oil and there's a lot of shine. So the shine is our sweat, which is the perspiration. And all of that sitting on the scalp can cause a lot of irritation. So the surface of the scalp is the epidermis, and it tells us what's happening down in the dermis. And I'll just move over here to the side. I hope you can see that with me. So there's a lot of residue on the scalp. Now, scalp is skin. So it is a living organ, and you're going to have problems growing proper hair through a scalp environment like that. Plus, obviously, the symptoms that we're getting of the itch and the scales and the dandruff, we can definitely see why. So what we're going to do today is use a scalp exfoliant. So scalp exfoliant is to go in and exfoliate very gently all the dead skin and that dye residue. We're going to stabilise the oil gland and remove all the sweat as well. So the scalp exfoliant that we use is actually a natural product. It gets applied over the entire scalp after we do a good dose of brush therapy. It sits on the scalp for 20 minutes. It's a gel, and then we emulsify, rinse it away, and then we actually do a scalp cleanser. So we do the scalp exfoliant to teach our client how to do scalp cleansing at home. So generally it's a one-off procedure, cleaning the scalp, and then you can maintain it at home. What we'll do is we'll come back in and we'll show you how different the scalp environment looks after you've had a scalp exfoliant. See you soon. Okay, we've just finished our scalp exfoliant, so we're going to show you at scalp level what it's achieved. So we've gone in and cleaned all the residue as much as we could off the scalp, but in a natural way. So when we do an exfoliant on our skin, they generally use balls or sharp pieces of nuts or what have you. And we don't want to do that on the scalp skin because it's an organ and we need to protect what's going on underneath. So we just want to remove the things that shouldn't be there, and sometimes we have to do it a couple of times. It will demonstrate what we've achieved just in one treatment, which took us 20 minutes today. So you can see on the screen is a picture that I just took before. So this is the scalp. You can see before it had all that shine, there was some scale, and there was residue because we had a colour on the skin last week, and the colour actually grabbed to where the skin was dry. Now I can actually see this is a very dehydrated scalp. There's areas there that the skin is still pulling together. And you can see there's some marcations in here. So it's shiny because it's clean, but it actually shows that there's some things not quite right with the scalp skin. And again, a lot of time it's what we're using on the skin, which can be things like your shampoo. If your shampoo has sodium lauryl sulfate, it's a protein denaturer, and over time can cause these disruptions. So we can see that the skin here, it's not looking normal. So this can create what we call is the scale. So we've cleaned it off, but now we need to work at keeping a balance on the scalp, and this takes time. So there's no miracle cure for this type of thing because it's a cellular dysfunction. So the scalp exfoliant is the first step to cleaning the skin so we can do some treatment. So we can see in there it's much cleaner, but there's still some residue there. So it's something we need to teach our client how to do scalp brush therapy, which we have today, and how to use a safe scalp cleanser with no sodium lauryl sulfate. I'm just going here again. So that's still a bit of the residue of the colour, and it's stuck to the dry skin. So in other areas where the skin is quite normal, it hasn't stuck but in some areas it has. So again, that's what we would expect to see. So scalp exfoliant, you can perform it up to 3 times. Sometimes you need to do it once a week for 3 weeks. Sometimes we only ever need to do 1. It's quite unique to every individual scalp condition. Okay, so here I would recommend that we go back in a week's time and clean it up. And by the 3rd time round, we'll have a nice clean scalp, and that's whilst the client's also doing some home care. Now just a note on all scalp conditions. They do stem from essential fatty acids, so if you have an essential fatty acid deficiency, it will dehydrate the scalp and affect the scalp oil, dry skin, and all those different things. So as much as we go in and we clean the scalp, and topically we're going to teach the client how to do some safe scalp cleansing, we also need to go in nutritionally in an alkaline environment and take the proper nutrients, because what happens on the outside is a result of what happens on the inside. As Carolyn here, Trichologist at Absolique Hair Health Clinic. Thank you.